This is the DJI Action 5 Pro.
Yes, you're good.
And this thing is tiny, but it packs a punch. I am going out on my first ski trip to Colorado this year, and I need to learn how to use this thing because I think I have about like a day and change to figure out all the settings and how this thing works. Because I really don't want to go to Colorado, come back, and have like horrible footage because I had the settings set wrong on here. But you might be wondering, like, why I have this now, and like I used to have a GoPro. Did I switch for it on purpose? Like, what's the deal? A little story time. You know, I was out in Colorado, in Denver, this past summer, and I left it there. It was really bad. I left it in the glove compartment box of my rental car. Yeah, that was really embarrassing. And by the time I figured it out, I knew my GoPro and the rental car were somewhere exploring Colorado at that point. So nevertheless, I have the Action 5 Pro. So let's hit the streets and see what makes this the perfect everyday adventure camera. By and large, the two main things that most people care about when it comes to action cameras are the image quality and the stabilization, because at the end of the day, you're using an action camera to capture you and your friends doing cool stuff. It's not a cinema camera that you're going to want to mess around with all the settings all the time to get the perfect looking shot. Although, I will say, DJI did pack 10-bit color for their normal profile, HLG, and D-Log, if you are so inclined. But back to my point, if you're going to want something that you can just turn on and capture memories with without having to worry about all the million settings, yeah, this is it. The Action 5 Pro has 13.5 stops of dynamic range, which is pretty impressive when you think about it. My A7C II, which I shot the intro on, has 15 stops of dynamic range, so it's not really that far off. And it worked pretty well on the streets of New York, with only a little bit of loss of detail at the highlights at some times. Additionally, the Rocksteady and Rocksteady Plus stabilization seemed to be working pretty well while I was walking. I'm looking forward to really putting both the image quality and stabilization to the test while skiing later. Not necessarily unique to this camera or DJI, but I will say the quick release system is pretty handy, and the quick start is noticeably faster than my old GoPro, which isn't necessarily saying much given that my GoPro is pretty old, but still, I found it really helpful for capturing real-time scenes. I'm on my way back from the gym, and it is that depressing time of year in New York where it gets dark at 5 p.m., which sucks, it's awful. However, the silver lining is that I can test out the night mode here a lot easier, like the low light performance of this camera. And the sensor is tiny, it's smaller than the Osmo Pocket 3, it's smaller than any mirrorless cameras obviously, but it does pack a new SuperNight Mode, which is like AI noise smoothing. So let's see if the makes an action camera passable at night. Honestly, not seeing that much of a difference in the video modes. Maybe it's slightly bluer in the regular video and slightly warmer in the SuperNight Mode. Maybe I'm seeing a little more detail as well in the SuperNight Mode. One thing I do want to call out, I do see a little bit of overexposure with the SuperNight Mode. I just don't know if that's the feature itself or if it's just due to all the lights in New York City. So let's see what happens when I get into a slightly darker environment.
It should come as no surprise that I have little to zero self-control when it comes to cool gadgets and cameras. So after I lost my last GoPro, here in Denver actually, I figured it was time to get something new. And you know, what better way to test out an action cam than with a little action. All right,
just be really careful.
I'm gonna go very slow.
Yeah. That's so...
I didn't think it was me.
No, it's not you.
The weird thing is she used it on these boots.
Alright, stay in front of me, okay?
Alright, we'll do. First run, loose bindings. Fine. Oh, cool. So far, skis are not popped. And there's so many people here too.
There's so many.
Holy shit. Man, it is kind of a whiteout out here. It'd be interesting to see how the dynamic range does when it's all highlights. What shadows? Maybe we'll get on the trees. Okay, so I'm a shit skier. This is a really good skier. My footage is gonna be boring as fuck, so I'm gonna give it to someone who hopefully will get you exciting footage. All right, I think we're good.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
What if I shimmy for the people?
It's got stabilization, so should be pretty good.
And I'm blinking?
Yes, you're good.
I'm blinking. Thanks.
Let's take odds. What are the odds I eat shit? Even with the
0. Don't eat shit.
Is Butson blue or green?
There's a blue off of it, so stay close to me. Hallie?
Okay.
Ready?
Just don't bring me down the moguls. Wait, hold on.
Okay, I'm not. There's no moguls yet. Woo!
It's calling me, like the rainbow.
Woohoo!
It's calling me, like the rainbow.
There's a lot of people. I just want to see if it's less crowded on Paymaster.
Wait, is that the one with the moguls?
No, they don't have any moguls yet. No.
Because you sent me down moguls multiple times,
You know, I don't know what you're talking about.
and I'm not of the point
I don't.
of doing moguls.
I don't recall that.
Go soon.
Okay.
Right. Don't send me down moguls.
I won't. I promise. It wasn't on purpose.
You know what? Martin did it too. All right, I think we're good. We're at 4K 120. 4K 120, I think.
All right, let's see what I can get. You good?
4K 120. Let's
Fuck
fucking
yeah.
let's rock and roll.
You okay, bro? Yeah. Hey.
I'm gonna turn on the mic. Let's see what happens. Hi. Me taking around for my mic.
He's taking it around for his mic.
Let's see. Hello? Anything? Oh, it's connecting. Cool. Hold this again. Thank you. This is why you bring friends. They hold your camera for you. I really hope the windscreen's working here. I can't hear shit. So one thing that's awesome is that this thing is pretty weather resistant. It can go on to, I think, something like 20 meters. So a little snow, a little rain, not too bad.
So I'm back in New York now, and I'm looking over some of the footage from this thing, and it is pretty impressive, not gonna lie. Definitely beat my expectations. But before we go into like the overall wrap on this, I do want to say, I don't think I ever mentioned this, but this thing takes 40 megapixel photos. This tiny little thing. Yeah, I was pretty blown away. It definitely gets a little bit of that HDR look, like kind of like what you're gonna get from like an iPhone. But you know, regardless, still pretty impressive for something like this that's billed as more of a video first type camera. So yeah, if you need to get quick action shots, family shots, whatever, this can definitely do it. Some of the other stuff that I did want to talk about that just didn't necessarily come up throughout the course of a normal day, which you might be surprised at the first one, and that is battery life. I gotta say, it's billed at 4 hours at 4K 24. And I didn't necessarily measure it, but it really wasn't a concern, which I'm pretty impressed about. I'm happy, and I could actually believe their claim. On top of that, it also has 47 gigs of built-in storage inside of here without an SD card. So that actually translates to about an hour 54 of 4K 24 footage, which is really nice. It has happened to me where I forgot my SD card, so that would definitely be a lifesaver, but didn't happen this trip. And the last thing, I want to make sure I'm calling it right, is yeah, they call it their subject tracking. So similar in the Osmo Pocket 3, and you also see it on stuff like the A7C II, the ZVE1, and basically any of these like next-gen Sony cameras and some of the other ones as well. Basically, it will keep your subject center in the frame, and you know, basically it shoots a little wider. It'll crop in post as it tracks you and keeps you center frame. It works both horizontally and vertically. So after a week of testing here on the streets in New York and on the slopes of Colorado, I can pretty confidently say that yeah, I would consider this the everyday adventure camera because you know the image quality is really good for such a small camera. And again, I might be splitting hairs here, but yeah, okay, the dynamic range struggled a little bit in very dynamic scenes where it did clip some of the highlights, but you know, what can you expect with like such a small camera, small sensor compared to something like a mirrorless camera? So, you know, might be splitting hairs there. When it comes to image stabilization, really buttery smooth. Didn't notice any real shakes while walking, while skiing. Ease of use, it's the quick access. It's just really plug and play. I mean, look at that. Hey guys. Yeah, and then even when it comes to like the build quality, I was very happy with this. And again, you don't need any extra housing for, I think, up to 20 meters in the water. Yeah, I think so. And you know, when it comes to skiing, like I just had this thing out mounted here, and no splashes, rain, snow, whatever, no problems whatsoever. And yeah, I don't really just view it as a replacement for my GoPro. I view it as a pretty big upgrade, and I am very happy with this. So there's just one thing that I gotta make sure not to do with this thing, and that's to leave it in my rental car. So keep your fingers crossed for me.